Well, hello there, folks. This is Josh Benson with RevealBot, providing you a presentation for the uh, automation showcase. Ways that you can up your game and start winning in an iOS 15 world, leveraging RevealBot and Google Sheets. Um, I'm doing this because I have talked with lots of folks who have discovered that the iOS changes has caused a lot of gaps in their data and it's impacted their ability to build automations that they trust and can rely on. So we're going to explore some techniques that can be used leveraging RevealBot and Google Sheets and your sources of truth, whatever they may be, so that you can get that data in the platform and use it to inform your automations to accomplish objectives like stop loss, automatic scaling, things like that. Okay, so just a quick introduction. Here at RevealBot, we've been around for about 5 years now. And essentially, what we do is we empower social media advertisers to cut more costs, save more time, and make more money. Now, we have four core offerings inside of our platform. We have Power Rule automation for Facebook, Google, and Snapchat. We have custom reporting. We have automatic post boosting, which what that does is it takes your trending organic posts on Facebook and Instagram and turns those into paid ads. And then you have bulk ad creation, which makes it easy to launch a brand new campaign with all of the audiences and creatives which you want to spin up in that launch. So, with those in mind, we're going to be focusing primarily on leveraging power rules. And now, as far as introductions goes, we've talked about the company, we've talked about the product. As for myself, my name is Josh Benson. I am the solutions consultant here at RevealBot. And essentially, what I do is I sit down with folks like yourself and I work side by side with you to identify the things that you want to do and how RevealBot can get you there. I am many things. I'm a husband. I have been married for 13 years. I'm a father. I have a 10-year-old girl, or excuse me, a 10-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl. I've been remote working for 6 years. I love to talk, in case you couldn't tell. I'm a bit of a thinker. I'm a problem solver kind of person. I love technology, and I tend to make a friend everywhere that I go. So that is essentially who I am. I love to help in any way that I can. So what we're going to be covering on this webinar is we're going to just do a quick introduction of RevealBot rules and how you can leverage them to enforce your best practice mandates across your advertising efforts, and how you can inform those automations strategically with Google Sheets. And then we're going to step into some examples, three exactly, of tactics that are things that I've seen other folks using to move the needle of their business. So with that in mind, we're going to step out of the slideshow and we're going to jump into RevealBot. I've built out three automations to give you a sense of how you can put this together and put this in action in your business. So we're going to start with a very straightforward concept, and that concept is introducing data from outside of Facebook into your RevealBot automations so that you can automatically manage your advertisement campaigns. So we'll jump into this automation, which plain and simple pauses my campaigns if it's rainy. So the idea is that we want to pause our ads when it's rainy. So you might be wondering to yourself, Josh, how do I do this? That sounds really out there. But the thing is, I have a client who's actually doing this. Pretty cool, huh? So here's how it works. You would need to, first of all, we would need to build a custom metric inside of RevealBot. And here it's very simple. I'm narrowed down to targeting my active campaigns with the name Colorado. And what I am doing is I'm pausing those campaigns if the weather condition equals 1. And I'm sure you're wondering, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, here, I'll show you what that means. What it means is I have a spreadsheet with my campaigns. And you'll notice that in my spreadsheet, I have a column for weather with 1 equaling rainy and 0 equaling sunny. So you don't actually have to manually update this and keep track of it. You don't have to sit there and watch the weather report and then manually go in and punch this in. You can actually make this fully automated, and I'm going to show you how you do that. So the secret is in setting up the raw data appropriately. So typically when you're building out your data into Sheets so that RevealBot can pick it up, we have a tab for our raw data. So here I have accumulated data to give as a sample. So what we can do is we can jump into what our dear folks over at NOAA have put together. You can essentially grab data of all sorts of different types. Here I'm going to be looking at weather. I would want to pull data from weather radar level 3 is what you're going to want to be looking for. And typically you'd probably want to do this by either state or city or zip codes or something like that. Probably zip codes would be my guess. So in any case, you would want to pull this data from NOAA. NOAA spits out a spreadsheet, and then that spreadsheet can dump directly into our spreadsheet that we have here. So we have it land inside of our raw data, and then we have our system here, which is going to pull those data conclusions, put them into the column, and then now my rule inside of RevealBot is able to grab that. So if weather is rainy, that's what 1 means. Then we're going to pause that campaign. We would have a different rule, a start rule, to activate those other campaigns that are rainy. So maybe we might want to filter here actually for a rainy day, just like so. I'm going to show you what this looks like when you're actually building the custom rule. So we can go in and create a custom metric, go into our Google Sheets, and we're going to need to drop a link in. So I'm going to grab the link here, hit our little share button, grab that link, come back to RevealBot, pop that link in, just like so. We'll connect that spreadsheet. And then this is going to pull from our campaign IDs. And then let's see, what was our data inside of? It was in column I. So we're going to, wrong tab, I keep going to that one. So we'll go to column I, plug that in. And that's our weather conditions. Just like so. So that's how you can build out this kind of rule and leverage that weather data in order to inform your Facebook automations. So this is scenario number 1. We'll now return to the rules that we had built out here. So I have 2 more rules. I'm going to now touch on pausing ads if we're having low purchases and low ROAS. Okay, so I've carved out 2 potential scenarios in which case we might want to pause ads. And I'm keeping a very broad scope here of just simply pausing any active ad that is low in performance. So what works for you is going to differ from scenario to scenario, right? Some folks are using very basic approaches to pausing. Some folks have complex algorithms that they're using. But bottom line, what we want to do is we want to bring in our outside data and leverage it inside of our automation. And this ties into our conversation about iOS. So sometimes we look at the data, and I'll demonstrate this when we go into our ad ID and our raw data. we go in and we see that sometimes there are gaps in the data. And I've visualized this in my ad ID column. Sometimes I'm able to get something like the UTM, for example, but maybe I can't get the ad ID. So what ends up happening is the numbers inside of Facebook say like maybe 17, and then meanwhile the data inside of my CRM or Google Analytics or something like Salesforce is telling me a completely different count of the number of purchases. Shopify, that's another one. So the question then is, do we want to build rules that have gaps in the data, or do we want to build rules on data that we can trust, data that is completely there? And of course, the answer is we want to leverage that data if at all possible, right? I've highlighted inside of my ad ID section a perfect example. So here, Facebook thinks that I have 17 purchases, but here I see that when I count up my duplicate UTM entries, I see that I actually have 29 purchases. So do I want to build rules based off of this number, or do I want to build rules that use this number instead? If I was in your shoes, I'd want to use this number, right? It's more accurate. So if I built out an automation in RevealBot that said, hey, in my scenario, if I don't get at least 20 purchases in 3 days, I know that this ad is a stinker, then think about what happens. If we go by the Facebook numbers, the ad pauses, right? But if we go by this number, the ad doesn't pause at all. And maybe we might have a different rule that scales based on the performance. So it's pivotal that we get these numbers right. So that's your second scenario. Here you can see where I have carved out custom metrics for purchases that are counted up by UTMs. I also have a metric for true ROAS. And you can see here where I've taken advantage of some of RevealBot's unique capabilities. Here I'm comparing the metric over the last 7 days to the same metric from the week before. So there's all kinds of really cool things that you can do with our custom metrics. Okay, so we've covered scenario number 2 of using true numbers, our sources of truth, to inform our Facebook automations. So we'll now back out and we'll take a look at scenario number 3. In scenario number 3, I'm introducing a whole new concept of scaling off of true profit. So I can demonstrate how this would play out as well. So in building out a custom metric for true profit, different people define that in different ways, but we'll start with what I've got built inside of my sheet. So maybe I have an internal data system that I'm using to confirm how much revenue I'm actually getting from the sales. I can see that I have a revenue column, and Facebook doesn't exactly have this same data, right? It's folks are tracking this in their CRMs, they're tracking it in their internal databases, and so there's this question of, how can I use this number in my Facebook automation? So what we can do is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to actually create a custom metric for this scenario. And what we'll do is we'll call this true profit. We'll say over the last 3 days for this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my entry in Sheets. Once again, I'm going to paste that link. And then I'm going to select the appropriate sheet. In this case, we're doing this by ad set. And then let's see, what's my column of data? Revenue is column F. Okay, so I keep going back to that sheet. Let's see. So we'll go back to column F. And then we can just simply subtract the Facebook spend. And we're safe to do this because obviously spend is not a conversion number, right? So we can reliably count on the Facebook spend figure that's reported by Facebook. So we're taking the Google Sheet for revenue and we're subtracting the spend over the last 3 days. And so I can create that custom metric, pop that in, and now I have a custom metric for true profit, a concept that you can't really do inside of Facebook Native. So those are 3 scenarios that are examples of advanced tricks that you can do to leverage your sources of truth, fill in those data gaps created by iOS, and create automations that you can rely on. And the whole purpose of this, of course, is we want to increase revenue, we want to reduce costs, and we want to save time. And essentially what we are doing is we are breaking those handcuffs that are keeping us chained to the reports and to the numbers, right? We are taking those sources of truth we rely on, we're making them part of our automations, and that way we can go home, we can enjoy our friends and our family and our hobbies, and we don't have to think about Facebook numbers once over the weekend. If we can accomplish that for you, then I'd say we can feel pretty good about ourselves. So I want to now touch on a key concept here. So we've been talking about this data that's in these sheets. And so maybe you're thinking to yourself, okay, Josh, this sounds really cool. I'd love to do all of these things, but I have no idea how to get my data into this sheet. Well, I'm glad that you asked. So here's what you can do. There are essentially 4 ways that you can get your data into a sheet. Option 1, some systems have integrations already built with Sheets. So tools like Supermetrics and Hyros and Google Analytics, you can go into your add-on tab inside of Sheets for some of them and just have that data drop right on in. So that's one approach that you can take. Sometimes the add-on is inside of Google Sheets itself, and sometimes it's in the tool where you can drop the data in. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is to leverage the API that particular tool has. And there are many tools out there that have an API. Typically, when we're working with API, you are going to need a developer involved for that kind of scenario so that they can build up those bridges. And if you do, you may want to look at SyncWith. SyncWith is a tool that makes it really easy to build those things out. And they already have some existing ones built out with a variety of systems. So before you hire a developer, take a look at SyncWith, because there's some pretty cool tools that you can find with them to build those bridges, even just automatically. So that's option 2, is going via the API. Option 3 would be to use a tool like Zapier. Zapier has an integration with Google Sheets, and many tools are integrated with Zapier. So if you can get the data to transfer via Zapier into your sheet, then you're good to go. That's option number 3. Option number 4 would be to check your system and see if it has the ability to export the data to a spreadsheet. And if it can export the data to a spreadsheet, then you can either download that report and then upload it to the sheet, make that part of your daily process. Or if you want to get fancy, you can have a developer code up a script that will automatically download that for you and upload it to the sheet automatically. So those are your 4 options for getting the data to land in a sheet. If you can get the data to land in a sheet, you can get it into REVEALBot. And if you can get it into REVEALBot, you can build automations you can trust. So we've covered the core content of what I was hoping to capture in this webinar. And now we're going to come into the offers. So I have a couple of offers, some thoughts here. So I get a lot of folks who reach out to me saying, hey, Josh, I would love to leverage this, but I don't know who I can trust to get this done. So if you are a developer, or if you know someone who is that you can recommend, I would love to speak with you. We would love to set up you as one of our channel partners to have someone that we can introduce to our customer base that needs this kind of work done. That's offer number 1. Offer number 2, if you are an existing customer inside of REVEALBot and you would like some assistance with getting your sheet set up, then I would draw your attention inside of our system we have a button where we can go in and chat with our team. And I would ask that you send our team a message like this. Hey, support team, I'm trying to get my tool, whatever it might be. I put Wicked Reports as an example. I'm trying to get Wicked Reports and REVEALBot to play nicely together. I want to use, whatever data it is you want to use. I want to use my revenue data from Wicked Reports and use it in my Facebook rules. Help me. Say something like that, and our support team will jump at the chance to work with you. So that's offer number 2. For folks who are currently not subscribers of REVEALBot, maybe you're new to this, you've watched this presentation, and now you want to put this in practice with your own business, then let me get you in touch with my implementation team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just simply have you hit a link to schedule a time with our team, and we will set up a one-on-one conversation with you to talk to you about your business, confirm that REVEALBot's going to do all the things that you need it to do, and then we're going to help you build out that sheet. We're going to help you to put automations in place that are going to move the needle of your business. So I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for your attention, and I look forward to your questions. I'm going to put my contact information here on the screen so that we can finish up here. Let's see. It might help if I hit the right button. There we go. Okay, my contact information is on the bottom right. You're welcome to call. You're welcome to text. You're welcome to email me. Let me know how we can help, and I'll be more than happy to speak with you, to communicate with you online, and to help you get your business where you'd like it to be. Thanks so much for your time and attention. I wish you the very best. Thank you.